Welcome to the Divine Mess, a sanctuary where the dance of the empowered masculine and the divine feminine unfolds in all its glory. Join us as we delve into the heart of these cosmic energies, exploring their attributes and the profound impact they have on our lives. From the raw power of the masculine to the nurturing embrace of the feminine, we uncover the balance that leads to a life of abundance and joy. Our hosts, Kurti Deva Perriman and Tina Ryan, are your guides on this spiritual journey who blend science with soul to offer practical wisdom for harnessing your divine energy. We celebrate the beauty and imperfection, embracing the chaos of life's journey as a catalyst for growth. The Divine Mess isn't just a podcast, it's a movement towards wholeness and self-expression. So come laugh with us, cry with us, and grow with us. Every episode is an invitation to explore the depths of your being and to live out loud, authentically, and unapologetically. Subscribe and join our community of seekers as we support each other in this extraordinary, messy adventure we call life. Well, as my co-host has put himself on mute this morning, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of this delightfully divine mess. And thanks for joining us on the virtual couch yet again. Today is another reflection episode. And of course, my charming co-host has all of the information. But first, I will introduce him because he does this for me on a regular basis. So I will do my best to add another layer to our karate moving, Tai Chi mastering, let me think, vegetarian eating, French Creole speaking, triathlon training, gym bunny, you name it, my friend has. And also I'll throw in there, what book hasn't he read yet would be a good question. Because every time I ask him, has he read a book? He says, oh yeah, I read that one. Let me know what you think. Very casually thrown off the side. So my dear co-host is Mr. Kurti Deva Perriman. He is the cosmic alchemist at the Golden Temple, where they transmute fear into love, because really there's only two choices, isn't there? And as always, you get me, Tina Marie. I'm a self-love coach and I work with women who are moving through separation and divorce and help them to redefine their second season into a space and a shape that better suits them. So moving forward with today's episode, I will have my gorgeous co-host give us a gentle reminder as to who we spoke to last week with her beautiful bio. Great conversation it was. If you haven't tuned in, get your listening ears wrapped around that one before we get started.
Thank you, Tina, for this delightful introduction. And that's why you're introducing from now on, because it's so creative, so beautiful. And I got a few comments while you were doing that, what a beautiful intro Tina does. See? The audience are calling you, your fans are raving for you. Thank you so much for this intro. I really enjoyed it. Of course, last week we had Camilla Arnold, who is rather an international best-selling author, writing coach, creative well-being mentor. She was delightful. Of course, her energy was amazing, and she lives in a world of creativity where she helps authors to find their authentic voice and tell compelling stories. With her holistic interconnectivity coaching approach, she guides creatives to align with their true purpose, unlock their gift, and embrace the freedom of creative flow. And I feel that last week when we had her, her energy was just calm, soothing, and no wonder it's so creative, because it's like that divine feminine energy where we got to learn more about divine goddesses coming through her. and channeling, and no wonder she can help others author as well to unlock their creativity. It's such a beautiful episode. It was personally for me. I had the opportunity to speak with her prior to the recording, and she had yet another story before that. And I feel that in our recording, like usual, we explored another part of her story, and it just brought so much of creativity. You can hear actually her inner work, her depth of the inner work she did, and how raw and authentic she was about her journey. It's just amazing how people are vulnerable, open, and raw, authentic on the virtual couch. And that's what we welcome about. And it shows that they have done their inner work. They're continuing to do their inner work. They keep on doing that. They don't stop. And that's why they hire other coaches to do that as well. And she had another story prior to that that I keep going back to. And I was like trying to guide her toward that story, but the universe had different plan as usual. But we went with the flow, and I feel it was a very free flowing episode. And it was so grateful for we are so grateful towards her because it was her first recording after a long time, and she was like really gracefully got into our realm, gently put in our lap, like Tina loves to say. For me, my one of the big takeaways was how you can tap in easily in your divine feminine, like without that masculine of doing, but just being, like how easily, not easily, like the logical mind is saying, oh, it's not that easy to do that. But the way she described it, like so gracefully, you can actually hear like how it felt easy for her just to write and how her book was channeled. Like the book she wrote was fully channeled about the divine goddesses and how she worked her way. She was healing through that journey. And it was just beautiful to hear someone else doing their inner work, and you can see the outcome of part of their healing journey, like because healing is an ongoing process. And we hope to see like more of her, of course, and to hear more about her book because she got a publishing house as well. And we are looking forward to hear more about her. But I will leave to Tina to share what was her takeaway from it.
I think, as you and I both know, writing a book is a process. It's quite a cathartic process, and you and I both did that in group format. I was offered the position to write in my book, I think about 2 weeks before submissions were due. So I didn't get the coaching and the months kind of spent putting things together. And for me, that was probably the best way. That I literally sat at a cafe one day and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And it was just this download of everything that had been impactful in my life up until that given point in time. But I feel that if I had have had somebody like Camilla, then perhaps my contribution to the story may have been different. I think it's a process that even if you never publish, it is such a worthwhile process to write your story. Write your story for, if you're a parent, for your children, write your story for your family. As Dava and I have both discovered through our writing, that there are things about our lives that people had no concept of, didn't know what happened, didn't know the depth of its impact in our lives. So it gives you an opportunity to open the doors of conversation with other people in your life about how you are now moving through as a different person as a result of those challenges wrapped up in a different box, as our gorgeous friend Ra likes to say. You know, you're expecting a Tiffany box, but it's not exactly what you got. And working out where the blessing is in that. But I loved the fact that she was so in touch with Lilith and how she utilized Lilith in her daily, like, how can I best serve the world? How can I best do my job? How can I best serve the authors who are coming to me and wanting to share their stories? And it's not necessarily that everybody is going to relate to Lilith. There, like she said, there are so many gods and goddesses that we can choose to emulate certain characteristics and embody those characteristics, because if we can recognize them within the deity that we've chosen, they are within us too, you know, because we're all created from the one. So it's all within us. We just have to remember that it's there. So that for me was a bit of a kick and a reminder to go back to my books on my bookshelf and find my goddess books that I have, and to find someone that I resonate with now rather than who I was 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago. You know, we're all looking at rebirthing, I suppose. This is a good year for that. So I'm going to look to find somebody who articulates that for me and use them as I suppose, a point of contact, as how she described it, as your way in. You know, they are the key to the door, and then the door comes open, and the amount of information that is there for us to access is infinite.
I feel like you just reminded a beautiful point that you're the author of your life, you're the writer of your life, you're the director, the actor and actress of your life. And yesterday I was reading The Power again, like from Rhonda Byrne, the one who wrote The Secret. And it's a she said that in the book. So you hold the pen, and often we give the pen away to someone else to describe our life. And recently I had one client, and when she was telling the story, because I also like what's her story of her life, and she was telling me, and I was like, and I told her like, it feels like your story life is like a many co-authors in there. There's not your name though. You're not the author at all. It's written by so many other people, what others said, what others did, which I understand where you're coming from. But however, I'm asking you like about your life. And we often forget that we give the pen to someone else and say, yeah, you can write it for me, in unconsciously sometimes, you know, like, because what they are saying or doing, we are giving that power away. And I feel like Camilla's story is a reminder that when she actually took time and sit down and start writing, and she didn't know where the information was coming, and she just allow it to flow. And sometimes that's what we need to do, like just stop and breathe. More importantly, breathe and release, and then start writing whatever is coming. And I remember one of our guests said that sometimes it's just like writing. I don't know. I don't know what to write. I don't know what's coming up. I don't know what's happening in my life. And just by starting that, that's it. That's already a prompt, like because like 2 episodes ago we spoke about prompts, asking powerful question, and sometimes we don't have those powerful questions, but just by writing, I don't know what to say, I don't know what's happening, I don't understand, that's already powerful because you're admitting that you're feeling a bit lost, and that's when you surrender to the higher power, or the almighty, like Tina is calling it nowadays. Through her knowledge, she's gaining knowledge with conversation with God. And it's about like how will you name it? Like Camilla said about Lilith, like, and again, like the more I'm exploring that spiritual realm, I feel that it's our human mind that's labeling them or giving them that form or name or whatever, because whatever, whenever they're coming, it's just energy. It's just energy. And however you resonate at the time. Because recently I saw like Kyle Gray, one of my Western like spiritual teachers, I feel, um, when he put out his first card deck about Archangel Michael, for example, that's one example. And you see the evolution of it. It started like pure blue, and then it went red in the Keepers of the Light. And now, if you see Archangel Michael, it's a whole different. He become like, for me, it's like Black Panther. That's how I see it, but in a blue like suit, if you want. But he has all those tattoos type of thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's my type. I can see that for me. I'm aligned to that. But this is my joking way of saying that. But honestly, and recently I had a group coaching, and we were doing a meditation, and she said like Archangel Michael came in, but I don't know who he is. I say you don't need to know if you feel it, because she kept hearing Michael, 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 and in her heart she knew it was Archangel Michael, yet she never heard of him. So it doesn't matter how energy is coming through, and I feel like Camilla's stories is a lot like that, because all the goddesses you hear about, for me, it was like the first time I was hearing about them. I didn't know about them. So I was like really, like engrossed in her story to know more, to learn more, because those are different names. But I feel it's our human mind that feels safe to name them and feel safe to give them that label. But honestly, like God don't they don't care about the names or how they come through. They just come to you. You just need to allow and surrender to the process, whether you like it or not. And I feel like Camilla's remind us as well how she surrendered to it, and how she allowed herself sometimes to cry and have those low moments. Yet those were the moments she really learned more about herself, her true strength. And often, like I was telling that coach who had that experience of Archangel Michael, I was saying sometimes what you see in the quality in them, that's a reminder of who you truly are. It's not of who you want to be, but that's they came in to remind you of who you are. So whether you call it Archangel Michael, Lord Muruga, Lord Ganesha, whatever it is, or Jesus or Buddha, doesn't matter. It's just a reminder of who you are.
Suppose it's one of those learnings from, because I'm actually listening to the audiobook for Conversations with God. And in some moments, it's a woman speaking. And in some moments, it's a man speaking. But her comment was, I come to you in all forms. I come to you in all ways. You're the one that says, I need to be a man in a white robe and Jesus sandals. And, that's not who I am. And there was comments like, oh, but you've got quite a wit and a sense of humor. And she's like, I created you so I could have a human experience. My thought, I turned into feelings and actions. You are my action, so I can have the feeling of what it is like to experience pain and anguish and happiness and joy and all the realms in between. I created you so I can have the duality. But, you know, from the perspective for Camilla, with goddesses work for her. And like you say, whatever your chosen person, deity, understanding is, doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. It's about us understanding the reasons why we went through certain things to get us to the point where we are now, but not looking on them as some, like you said, someone did this to me, or they hurt me, or they did. What did it teach you about yourself? What did you take away from that? What characteristics do you now have that you didn't have before? You know, that's the thing. We come here with, our memories have been erased. Our souls have been put in our bodies, and literally like the data bank has been memory wiped. So sorry, start again. And so all of these beautiful things, the people that we choose to be our parents, the siblings that we get, the cousins, the family, the friends that we attract, the situations that happen to us, all happen to provide that remembrance. And I think that's what Camilla does for her authors. It gives them the space to create that remembrance within themselves. She gives them the tools and the techniques so that they can share their story, can share the downloads that they get. And sometimes they don't make any sense whatsoever. Sometimes we get all these beautiful things and they make no sense whatsoever. But when we have time and space or someone else's perspective to look back on it and go, oh, okay, I can see the thread. I can see the dots, like the dot to dot colouring ins that we used to do as kids. That's how I see it. That's how I see all the experiences of your life. They're all mapped out, and one dot doesn't necessarily correlate to the next, but it's when you rise up above, then you go, oh, that's a picture of that. Right, now I understand what it's all about. And that for me was, hearing her story was just the kind of the connecting of the dots for me about understanding that all of these things that have happened create our story. And if our story is not shared, how can we be of service to others? How can we help other people if we're keeping all of that to ourselves? It's of no benefit to keep our experiences to ourselves, because then how else can we be lighthouses for other people who are still yet to find their way through it? If they can do it with a little less pain or a little less anguish or a little more understanding or a little bit more compassion or empathy or acceptance, then from my perspective, it's my duty to, I didn't have that dawning realization until a couple of years ago when I did, and I stood up and I told my story to a lot of people. It's the first time I shared it with anybody apart from very close friends. And people were like, oh, I'm so glad you shared that, because I've been there too. So I don't feel quite so alone, or that I'm the only one that's experienced this, or I'm the only one that's experienced heartbreak. None of us are alone in this human experience. Whatever made you think that you were doing it by yourself? Because you're not. That's why we're here, because we have fun sharing all of these great reflections and inviting all of these really beautiful people on the couch so that you too can get those doors unlocked and remember the amazing creature that you are, and so that you can go on and be of service to others in the way in which you were meant to be doing so.
And that's why we have those guests constantly coming to us at the right timing, like we call it divine timing. And each one of them reminded us of this, of even like Camilla's story about, like her writing, how she channeled Lilith, for example, or other goddesses. And we were telling each other, about, we joke about well, some episodes will say a way about your marketing manager, like about your marketing manager team. And we all have that team if we allow that, because there are so many energies. And I feel that each one, whatever you believe in, can help you with one specific, if you allow the divine to take over, like we talk about, like you allow the divine to take over the wheel, like and just drive and just allow you to go wherever the divine is taking you. But our mind, of course, love that control. Oh no, how can we do that? We can't let someone else. And especially I noticed, like I realized that if you weeks back, especially speaking with different coaches from different background, they always, because they know me as speaking always about the universe, and they are like, so is it that universe is a man? And I feel it's already associated with like a man, or like Jesus. I don't know, for whatever reason it is. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about the universe within you. And I find that really, this has been coming up a lot. I noticed in the past few weeks that people ask me, like, because for me, when I first encountered that term, the universe, it was from Gabrielle Bernstein, which we mentioned a lot about her on the Divine Mass. And for me, it was like easy to understand that it's like that expansion, like it's like unlimited possibilities, and it's the universe within you. And it's not like someone or something else, it's just within you. It's just like that. Again, you're the author of your story. But what I notice is like people often, again, like they want to associate it with a name, a face to feel safe. So when you tell them to think of something, like bigger than this and bigger and bigger and bigger, one of my clients, I challenge her to go bigger. So whenever she tells me a goal, I say, oh yeah, you can do better. That not do better. I would say like, yeah, double that. Like whatever her goal, for example, is like, and she goes crazy with that. She doesn't like it at all. But I like to have that fun to ask people to do that, to challenge them, because the universe has offered us unlimited potential. And the more you read about books like The Power or The Secret, gentle reminders, because I feel like conversation with God is a deeper story about and deeper conversation on the spiritual level to understand. But it doesn't mean that you can't, because you can get so much out of it just by reading those books. But the most, like information, most important information, or the best information that you will ever get, is from the book within you. It will come from the teacher within you. It will come from the God within you, or the universe within you, because it will be guided uh, and at the right time. Because when you were talking about the dots and connecting the dots, uh, it's like Steve Jobs who said, like, you can't connect the dot moving forward. It's only by looking backward that you can connect the dots. And as humans, we like to see the full picture. Like when you're making a puzzle, you like to have the full picture so that you can make the puzzle. But yet, as kid, you can see that they can build the puzzle from scratch. They don't need to look constantly at the picture, at the big picture. But for us, it's like so important to have that full picture. Then we are like, yeah, I can do that now. I know where I'm going. But when we say like trust the universe, and you can hear that in Camilla's story as well, when she allowed those divine goddesses to come in so that she can embrace her divine feminine fully, it's when she really let go and surrender to the process and allow it to happen, no matter how challenging it was to her mind at first. But she allowed it to happen, and sometimes like just sitting down and writing your thoughts or even typing. For some clients, I have been telling them use Google typing, like dictating, and they can do it in their language as well. At the moment, we don't have Mauritian Creole, so we have to speak French in that, yeah, or English. And sometimes the word that they write, it doesn't come out right. So we have to do autocorrect or use Grammarly a lot. I use Grammarly a lot for that, but it's a great tool. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to sit down and write. But if you have time to think negative, it means you have time to sit and write. You do. It's just
But
making
also
time
you
for it.
can do that in the car. You can have streams of consciousness in the car. You know, if you don't think you have time to, like David said, write, while you're walking around doing the house chores or driving to work, or, you know, you want to have that stream of consciousness about anything, whether it's the conversation you didn't have with your partner about washing not being hung out, or the kids not being ready on time, or who's doing what when everybody gets home. Sometimes it's a good way just to solve your own problem, press the record button and just let them have it. Let it all out. But in there, sometimes you tend to solve your own problem, right? The minute you start conversing with, you know, and if you want to pretend that Lilith is sitting in your passenger seat, or if you want to imagine that Jesus or the Buddha or Ganesha or whoever it is that you're choosing as your point of contact, have a conversation with them. Or another option, have a conversation with the 80-year-old version of yourself who is now looking back at your mid-40-year-old version and going, oh, honey, if only you knew. You're sweating the small stuff again. Don't sweat the small stuff. Start talking, having conversations with yourself. You know, that's the one thing I'm working out about the book, the conversations with God. He's actually having conversations with himself, the God within, right? So that's what we have to accept is our own divinity and write that divine story, however you see fit. You know, because I think it's one thing that having a legacy of, like we do with the podcast, is hearing people's thoughts and concepts and ideas. Imagine if you could do that for the generations that are coming, in books, in audio tapes, in podcasts, in YouTube channels, in whatever version that they come in. Imagine if you could do that, because how many of us have done ancestral tracing and wished that we could have had conversations with those people to understand their depth of knowledge, their religious beliefs, their spirituality, what helped them through the good times and the bad, to be able just to sit and have those conversations with them. But at least by expressing yourself in written form or however you choose to do it, you're giving that opportunity to those that come after you to know and understand you, rather than you be a name and a date and a place on a piece of paper. It doesn't, you know, it's like we've said about the bios of the people that come on board to sit on the virtual couch. They are a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of who those people actually are. So if you can provide that for the people that you love, or you go and have conversations with your elders in your family and allow them to share their stories, get their stories down, because we don't know their struggles. We don't know what they went through. We don't know any of it. We understand them as our parents. We understand them as our grandparents, as the labels that we've put on them, but we don't know who they are as people, you know, how they've felt moving through their lives, what situations and scenarios were the big mile markers in the road for them, you know, what had the greatest impact, who are the people that had the greatest impact on their life. So if you have the opportunity, ask them to put something down on paper, you know, go record them. Like, you've seen so many of those beautiful TikTok videos with people taking their nanas for, you know, coffee and tea every week, and how Nana has 10 million followers because she's got such infinite wisdom within her. Go and find the wisdom in your own family, or the people that live next door, or, you know, if you've got someone in their later years living next door to you or behind you, pull up a chair, find out a little bit more about their story, you know, offer to record it for their family, because we all get so wrapped up and so busy in our own lives. But every single one of the people at my mother-in-law's nursing home, they've all got a story, but unfortunately they're there because of dementia, Alzheimer's, you know, things that have impacted their cognitive functions. So unfortunately, their stories are lost. You don't get that back. So if you get an opportunity to write your story, bloody well do it. Even if you never share it with anybody, tuck it under the mattress and keep it forever and a day, but write your story, because it's critically important. That's my rant for the day.
It's a beautiful sharing, you know, like about connecting with your ancestral, um, like family or your soul family, because you can learn so much from them as well, because they've been through what you maybe you're going through as well. They've been through maybe before that. They understand where you're coming. And for me, I come from that belief that they are collective, like karma, like, you know, whatever. For people who are wondering what's karma, for me, it's like that. I'm pretty sure it's like the third law of Newton's law of motion. My dad will correct me on that, because this is the only thing I learned, I think, from physics. Maybe for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction, and that's how you put. So whatever you give out is whatever you're going to receive, in terms of energy, in terms of, you know, like love or criticism or whatever it is. Because whenever we speak about karma nowadays, it's always negative, and there are always good karma as well. Like, you didn't come on this life just to receive bad karma, or, you know, like you, like the almighty to punish you, or to, yeah, to criticize you. It's not what's about life is about. And there's, like you said, there's so much wisdom when you start spending time with your elder. Even in the spiritual realm, there are so many things. Even they don't speak clearly sometimes, but they do speak through some videos, like Grandma Louise, you know, like Louise Hay or Dolores Cannon or Diana Cooper. For me, I look at it that way, that my ancestors are speaking through them as well. Or even like Dr. Wayne Dyer, for me, he's a major one, um, in terms of writing. And in terms of speaking, I just love his energy and the way he interprets the world and how he saw the world. And if you can connect with those people, even like by just thinking, because Wayne Dyer always said that, like wherever you are, even, and I think he said that to Gabrielle Bernstein. It's like whenever you're speaking, you can just call out my name and I will be there, like in terms of energy. And it doesn't need to be physical. And I feel I learned from that because when I was writing for me, that's the energy I connected most with was through Wayne Dyer. And he normally knocks at the door at 3 a.m., like the door of my mind. And it's the time. And I remember I wrote my chapter, I think in a couple of hours, less than that. But it was through, I still feel it was through Wayne Dyer's energy that I wrote that it came through. Because that's the one, because I went back and read when I was writing my chapter in Inspired Creators. I went back and read all like Wayne Dyer's book again to see how he was writing it, and even Gabrielle Bernstein's style, because I really connect with those two style of writing. And I invoke like Wayne Dyer's energy. So like Camilla was saying like about Lilith, for me it was like Wayne Dyer's energy. So it doesn't matter again like what name you put on it, what you resonate at that time. And that's what you can ask for. Like when people are going through, for example, the financial struggle, let's say, you can create like a mastermind. And I think in Think and Grow Rich, on the sixth or seventh chapter, it's about creating a mastermind. And you don't need to create one physical, but you can call out those grades, have different masterminds, and it's like a meeting with them. And just imagine when you have a round table. We always talk about like having our guests in a room. Like imagine now you have all the greatest ever, like in terms of authors, writers, those who inspired both of us in the same room or in the same, like place, because one room won't be enough. And you're asking them question because it seems like you're asking your higher self, but it's in another form. And like you said, like conversation with God is about writing. He was having a conversation with his higher self. That's my belief too as well. And that's how you can write to yourself. If you want to see how to have a conversation with God, it's easy peasy. You ask your 3D questions and you will get the 5D answers or 5D plus answers, fifth dimension answers that you won't understand with a 3D. But that's where you need to stop and meditate on those. Because whenever you're getting those aha moments, for example, from listening to our episodes or any other episodes with the guests, maybe you can stop and just meditate on that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just also yourself, what did I learn from that?
Yeah, there's always lots of learnings, isn't there? I think the key thread when we look back on all of our episodes is our ability to surrender to our higher purpose, to recognizing the divinity within us is leading us to where we are next best to serve. It's not for us to make those decisions and choices the same as the people who feel called to come and speak on the podcast. They're not people that, we're going out and gathering for ourselves. They're coming to us. And this is a call out to you. If you feel that you have an amazing story, that you have traversed the ups and downs in creating your own remembrance as to who you are, come and share it with us. Come and share it with the people who are tuning in every week, because we all need the inspiration. Every week we get something new and profound. We have mic drop moments where we just go, hang on, wind that one back just a fraction. And we learn something a little bit more about ourselves and about the people that we surround ourselves with, and that we need to do more. You know, that we have such amazing capacity and we limit ourselves with the green gremlins dancing in the cheerleader suits who tell us that, you know, perhaps we should just sit down and shut up and nobody really wants to hear what we've got to say. Well, I'm sorry, but I might raise just a slight middle finger to all of those thoughts and go, you know what? I am going to live unapologetically, and I am going to live brazenly and brightly and share my story, share our story, how we got started, how we became the most unusual of friends, because anything is possible. When you put a call out and you go, God, I wish I had a decent best friend. Hold on to your hat, because you never know what you're going to get. I was lucky. I got a good draw in the lotto. You know, my bingo numbers came up that week. That we ended up in the same place at the same time, and I say exactly the same thing for the man I choose to share my life with, in personal side, not professional side. I got lucky. You know, I asked for beauty and divinity and I got it. You know, he is golf crazy and, you know, he's eccentric in his own ways, and that's just perfect for me. So get on board. Come share your story, because you'd be surprised how many people you can help by doing so. And that, from Camilla's episode, if you don't take that away, I'm sure that there are many other points about being in flow with the universe and listening to your divine feminine energy. Pick a goddess that works for you in this time and space and work with that energy to help you through whatever it is, whatever human challenge that you're moving through at the moment. But do something. Don't sit in the mud. You know, if you need help, we are more than willing to have a conversation, as you can well guess from the multiple episodes that we have of the podcast. Reach out and ask somebody for a conversation and say, I'm not quite sure how yet. Someone might have the key. You're just not sure who that someone is yet.
Yeah, or go back to previous episode and see what titles resonate with you, and you might find you will find the answer, what you're willing to hear at the moment, whatever you're asking for. Because we also always say, like, go back to one episode and just press play wherever you feel fit, and that's the message you're meant to hear. Just like you can take a book that resonate with you and just open it to a random page, and that's the message the universe has for you. And I feel like Camila is a great reminder that you can write your own story at any point. And I feel like Luis here as well remind us, like, you can change your life at any point in time. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, because the moment you decide to change your life, it changes your future. And in the quantum physics world now, they are understanding that there are endless possibilities. So it's not like written and dusted. Yes, we have signed up soul contracts. However, it's about the learning. It's not about the experiences, how it's going to, in which shape and form it's going to come, because we are still learning from our soul contract. And once we learn the lesson, obviously we have that power to change our destiny, you know? And
Mhm.
Tony Robbins as well have one program. I think it was called like Date Your Destiny or something like that back in the days. But obviously, these times have evolved, just like we have evolved as well. And I feel with having more guests like Camilla on, we will grow to a whole another level along with them. Because I feel even they say they learned something about themselves or they were reminded of something on that day. You know, like after the episode, they will say, "Oh yeah, this is something I reminded. This is something I didn't know." And it's just from those having those conversation. And like Tina said, like you can ask the universe, "Thank you for bringing me my soul family." You know, like showing up for my soul family to show up in different part of the world. Doesn't matter, especially from Mauritius. Apparently, there's a good group. There's a good group.
I know, I've got a few. I'm collecting them like precious gems that they are, right?
Yes. And Tina is planning to have a workshop in Mauritius soon.
Well, if Air Mauritius want to take me, babe, I'll do it. No problem whatsoever. And they fly Wednesdays and Sundays, is that right?
There you go. See, she's already working Air Mauritius. She got 10% from everyone flying. So she will send you her affiliate link, just letting you know. But that's how much we have fun on those episodes, you know. But thank you for everyone tuning in. It was a beautiful, like reflective episode, I feel. As usual, we got all what's needed to be heard for us. We got gentle reminders from the universe and always surrender to the process, like we love to say. But remember,
Fabulous.
you're the author, the writer, the director of your life. So you can change it at any point. So change your story, whatever it is going on, you have that power. As long as, I think Rhonda said that, two rules, I think, not harming anyone in any way. As long as you're not harming the other person in any way, then the universe will grant your wish. On
Yeah.
that note, for me, I thank you so much for tuning in and listening on every platform that's out there. Now, we are so happy about that. So, wherever you're tuning in, thank you again for listening. I will leave the last few words for Tina.
Well, we love you. Thank you so much for sharing your most precious resource, which is your time. And we look forward to having you join us on the couch next week. But until then, get those pens out, get those microphones out, and get that story written. Until then, take care. Bye for now.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.